So in this review video, I'd like to talk to you about the concept of isomers. Remember that iso means the same, similar, or equal, and mers means units. And there are three classifications of isomers. There are structural, geometric, and enantiomers. Now, in any instance, essentially what these isomers are is they're going to be things that have the same molecular formula but a different shape. For example, glucose and fructose both have the molecular formula C6H12O6. But glucose's ring structure, in regards to its carbons, looks like this, while fructose's ring structure in regards to its carbons looks like this. So in either instance, they still have 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 6 oxygens, but notice how their structure is different. Of course, I haven't drawn in most of the hydrogens and oxygens. This is just meant to show you structurally how they might look slightly different. Okay? So let's talk about these three classifications of isomers. We'll start with structural. With structural isomers, predominantly what you're looking for, at least in regards to this class, is you're looking for an alteration to the carbon skeleton. So with structural isomers, the big thing we're looking for here is an alteration to the carbon skeleton. So for example, if I look at butane, so here I have butane, and I've got 4 carbons and 10 hydrogens. And now I look at isobutane. Again, I've got 4 carbons. So notice the same molecular formula, but the carbon skeleton in butane is linear while it branches in isobutane off of this carbon here. So instead of having carbons going 1, 2, 3, 4 straight in a row, here these carbons instead, I have 3 that run in a linear fashion, but 1 that branches off of this middle carbon. Okay? So, butane, isobutane, again, these are structural isomers. Okay? So, that's structural. You're always looking for an alteration to the carbon skeleton, essentially. Now let's talk the cis-trans geometric isomers. So the defining characteristic of a geometric isomer is going to be a carbon-carbon double bond. So you're looking for 2 carbons that have a double bond with one another. And what you're going to look at is the arrangement of these atoms around that double bond. So in the particular first instance, let's say that I have something that looks like this. Okay, so there's my first orientation. And in the second orientation, let's say it looks like this. So the first thing we check is to ensure that these are indeed isomers. So I would look at the number of carbons, nitrogens, hydrogens to ensure that we have the same number. And if you go through it, you'll find that we indeed do. So now what I want to do is I need to figure out which of these two is in the cis orientation and which is in the trans orientation. So the thing that I recommended to do, that you do in lecture is draw a dotted line through the carbon-carbon double bond and look at what you have on the top and the bottom. And I personally prefer to look at the hydrogens, not any of the other functional groups. So I'm going to look at the hydrogens here and here, and I'm going to look at the hydrogens here and here. And the question I'm asking is, are these hydrogens on the same side of the dotted line, either above it or below it, or are they on opposite sides? And that's how I'll classify these geometric isomers. So in this particular instance, both hydrogens are above this dotted line, and as a result, they're both nearby each other, or near each other. And there is a word that we use to denote that, and that word is cis. Cis means nearby. So cis means nearby. Okay. These hydrogens, on the other hand, are away from each other, and the word that we use to describe that is trans. So, away from is what we mean by trans. So these are geometric isomers. They're isomers to each other. This one is in the cis orientation, and this one is in the trans orientation. Okay. So last but not least, let's talk about enantiomers. Now there are two steps you need to follow when attempting to determine if something is an enantiomer or not. First and foremost, the two different molecules you're looking at should be able to be oriented in a way where they are mirror images of one another. Okay? So that's the first test. If no matter how you turn them, they never become mirror images, and obviously if they're not isomers, they can't be enantiomers. Second part that must be upheld is they have to have what's known as an asymmetrical carbon. This is a central carbon that has 4 covalent bonds stemming from it. 4 single covalent bonds. And those bonds have to be attached to or shared with different substances. Now when I say different substances, you can still have carbon and another carbon twice, but whatever functional group it is that that carbon is bound to, it has to be different. So for example, if I have a central carbon, that's my alpha carbon, and this carbon is bound to an amino group, an oxygen, a methyl, and a carboxyl group. Technically, yes, this carbon is attached to both this carbon and this carbon. But the fact that this is a carboxyl group and this is a methyl group, that makes this an asymmetrical carbon. Now, if this were another methyl group, this would not be an asymmetrical carbon. If this were another hydroxyl group, this would not be an asymmetrical carbon. So it has to be 4 distinct functional groups or substances to which this centralized carbon is bound. And then the other requirement is if I have a second molecule that I think is an enantiomer, it has to be the mirror image. So there we go. So this is what enantiomers look like. And you'll recall from lecture, I showed you those 2 pictures. In the first picture, we had an alpha carbon that was not asymmetrical. And what you could see in the video is even though it started in an orientation that made it look like a mirror image to the other molecule, when I turned it, ultimately I could orient it in a way where it didn't just look like the other molecule, it was seen that it was the exact same molecule. So if we don't have an asymmetrical carbon, eventually we can get that molecule to orient in a way where it looks and is the exact same molecule. Now if you take the second molecule or set of molecules I showed you that were mirror images, but you'll also notice that they had asymmetrical carbons. They had a carbon that was bound to an amino group up top with the blue nitrogen. They were bound to a hydroxyl group denoted with the red oxygen. They were bound to a methyl group, and finally they were also bound to a hydrogen. So hydrogen, methyl, hydroxyl, and amino, 4 distinct functional groups or atoms that central carbon was bound to. And what you would notice is as I turned either one of those molecules, those enantiomers, neither would ever be completely in the orientation of the other. The nitrogen might still be on top with the hydrogens, but what you would notice is when it was turned and oriented in the same direction as the other molecule, the oxygen actually wound up in a different place. And that's what makes them enantiomers. They're not the exact same molecule. They have the exact same units that make them, but they were not by any means the same molecule. And no amount of turning allows me to orient them that way, and that's because of that asymmetrical carbon in the center of the molecule. So that's enantiomers.